There's a tragic package on the internet, which I'm going to send you personally. I want to get this out because there's a Marine captain. I want to name. I want to make sure I get his name right. I think it's Patikian, and he's been killed, and it's very unfortunate. I had the wrong people, but Captain Travis Patrikian, Patriquian. He did a stick figure briefing on how to win in Al-Anbar, and it will break your heart. Because he said, look, there are sheikhs in Al-Anbar who have been the local power structure for 1,300 years. And they know how to run the place. They know how to track down the bad guys. They know what to do. And you had a bunch of 26-year-olds come in with Bremer and write a law that said the sheikhs are irrelevant. We now represent modernity. And we've now spent 3 years not knowing what we're doing, not knowing who the bad guys are, not knowing who the good guys are. And you see this stick figure presentation by this young Marine who was killed just a few weeks ago. And it makes you want to cry because we, starting in June of '03, violated virtually every principle I know about how to be effective in this kind of country. Now that was not true in April and May.
But that's part of planning.
No, it was an absolute decision to change what we were doing. The army, the military had a plan. They were rapidly reintegrating the Iraqis. I discussed this with General Abizaid when he was the deputy commander in Qatar 3 weeks before the campaign. And ask Abizaid something, he'll tell you, there was a clear path which we decided not to take. And when we didn't take it, it has gotten steadily worse. And I think that's why I'm saying, unless the administration is prepared to say we need a new strategy with new resources, we need to fundamentally restructure our instruments of national power, they will not win in Iraq.
Let me turn to the broader war on terror and some comments you also made in New Hampshire about the war on terror and the First Amendment. This is a serious long-term war, and it will inevitably lead us to want to know what is said in every suspect's place in the country. And my prediction to you is that either before we lose a city or if we are truly stupid after we lose a city, we will adopt rules of engagement that use every technology we can find to break up their capacity to use the internet, to break up their capacity to use free speech. This is a serious problem that will lead us to a serious debate about the First Amendment. Which freedoms, rights of speech would you curtail?
Well, let's start with an incident recently in Illinois where the FBI sold hand grenades to a jihadist who wanted to go into a mall at Christmas and blow up himself and as many people as possible. The FBI now reports, and by the way, the local Muslim community thanked the FBI for trapping him, and the ACLU was worried that entrapment was involved. So just take those two standards. The local Muslims who are Americans and patriots and don't want to be blown up in the mall thought it was terrific to arrest this guy for trying to buy hand grenades, and the ACLU thought there's probably a real infringement of his legal right to be stupid.
But they're Americans and patriots as well.
They're Americans and patriots as well, but they're suicidal in my judgment. So second, the FBI now reports that this jihadist almost certainly became a jihadist. He's an American living in Illinois, and he's getting on the internet, and he's reading hate, and he's reading recruitment, and he's reading how to be a jihadist. Now, why would you tolerate that? I mean, in a free society that's trying to survive, you know.
So you close down websites.
You close down any website that is jihadist.
But who makes that judgment?
You can appoint 3 federal judges if you want to and say, review this stuff and tell us which ones to close down. I would just like to have them be federal judges who've served in combat.
Are you concerned, however, that with carte blanche, that the government could move in and say, this mosque is closed, this website is shut down?
You have more censorship in the McCain-Feingold bill, which blocks the right of free speech about American campaigns, than you have from the FBI closing down jihadists. We have already limited the First Amendment right of free speech by a set of rules that are stunningly absurd. In California, you can raise soft money to run negative commercials attacking your opponent through the state party, and you cannot raise soft money to run a positive commercial on behalf of your own candidate. That's California state law. It's stunningly stupid and a clear infringement of free speech. So we've had a 30-year period of saying it's okay to infringe free speech as long as it's about politics. But now if you want to be a jihadist and you want to go kill people, well, who are we to say that's morally wrong? I think that's suicidal. I'm using the word deliberately. A country, a Supreme Court justice once said The Constitution is not a suicide pact. This country has every right to defend itself, and you saw the same thing recently on this U.S. Airlines provocation, where you had 6 people go way out of their way to cause trouble and then claim they were infringed upon. And I think, frankly, the president should invite that U.S. Airlines crew to the White House and thank them, because we ought to set a standard that if you're provocative about killing people, we're not going to show you any mercy.
Let me turn to what is going on with your life and travels around the country, the 2008 presidential election as well. Your old colleague in the House, Tom DeLay, made this prediction the other day. According to the New York Post, he predicted that Hillary Rodham Clinton will win the presidency. In 2008, Barack Obama would be her vice president, likely. Quote, Hillary will be the next president of the United States. Here's the cover of Newsweek magazine with Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Do you agree with Mr. DeLay that Hillary will be the next president?
Well, I think she certainly has an opportunity to be the next president.
Will she be a formidable?
So does Barack Obama, and I would say so does John Edwards. On the Democratic side, I think those are the 3 clearly serious contenders.
What about Al Gore?
Look, I've known Al Gore for many, many years. If he runs, he'll be a serious contender, but I think he would be 4th on that list of plausible people. I actually think Barack Obama is having as good a run as anyone could hope for, and he's doing it by being positive, by being engaging, and by being above all the negative Washington-based, this morning's hotline nasty attack, email kind of stuff. And I think if he can sustain that, despite the best efforts of many of my good friends in the media to drag him down to mere issues, he could become very formidable.
Does he have enough experience to be president of the United States?
Well, Abraham Lincoln served 2 years in the U.S. House and seemed to do all right.
Will Hillary be a formidable candidate?
Hillary Clinton is one of the hardest working professionals I know. I mean, she is serious. She is married to the smartest politician in the country. They have an enormous network of fundraising. No one has made any money betting against the Clintons since 1980.
So she could win.
Of course she could win. I mean, anybody who thinks she can't win must have been living on a different planet. I mean, I watch Bill and Hillary with deep professional admiration. It's like watching a formidable opposition football team. You coming from Buffalo will appreciate this. There are years when it's good and there are years when it's bad, and they are formidable.
Let me show you the latest NBC poll about the Republicans. Rudy Giuliani leads the pack 34%, John McCain 29%, Newt Gingrich at 10%, the governor of Massachusetts, Mitt Romney, at 8%. And yet, when asked about favorable, unfavorable attitudes amongst all voters, favorable, Newt Gingrich 28%, unfavorable 44%. High negatives.
Absolutely. Look, I was a very aggressive Speaker of the House. I was very controversial. I had 121,000 negative ads run against me nationally. But I'm not running for president right now. I mean, what I'm doing is talking about ideas, and even I think most people will agree that we could use a new generation of solutions. Solutions on energy, solutions on education, solutions on national security, solutions on health. I founded the Center for Health Transformation as a nonpartisan program that reaches out. American Solutions, the organization we're creating, is going to reach out to every candidate in both parties. And I'm pretty happy to try to develop a very positive, very solution-oriented future for the country. And then we'll see what happens over time.
But that's a change in your demeanor. When you ran for Speaker, you did call Democrats grotesque, dishonest. You said Jim Wright, the former Speaker, was a crook. I mean, there's a long history of very aggressive partisan rhetoric from Newt Gingrich. Do you regret that now?
No, look, first of all, it was a different time. I mean, you had a 40-year monopoly of power in the House by the Democrats. You were in a very different kind of environment. You didn't have a war that should focus every American on our own survival, which we have a big war, of which Iraq and Iran and Afghanistan are subsets, but we have a much bigger threat to our very survival. We didn't have the rise of China and India. I mean, I think we're entering a period where, as Americans, we have to pull together in what I think will be the largest complex challenges since the Civil War. And I don't think there's any period since 1861 in which the nation will be as tested as it's going to be in the next 15 or 20 years. And part of it, I think I've reacted, again, we're all creatures of the world we've lived in.